I am back with part 5 of my video series on bad officiating in the 2016 NCAA Championship game. This video will focus on the rules dealing with fouls from behind and over-the-back fouls. These rules can be found in Rule 4, Section 38 on verticality and Rule 10, Section 1 on personal fouls. Rule 438 1K states, the offensive player must be allowed enough space to make a normal basketball play. The defense may not invade the vertical space of the offense and make illegal contact when the offensive player is attempting a normal basketball play. I can definitively state that the first half of the rule makes no sense. First off, all of Rule 438 deals with verticality and vertical movement, and when it comes to vertical movement, the offensive player already has exclusive rights to all airspace directly above him, as expressed in the second part of the rule. Why a player would need enough space to make a basketball play when the player already owns all airspace directly above him seems redundant. Second off, another rule in the rule book dealing with horizontal movement states that a player is entitled to any position on the floor not already occupied by another player, meaning they can stand right next to the ball handler if they choose. The phrase enough space to make a normal basketball play seems to introduce subjectivity into the rule book and the officiating of games, and that is something you don't want. Rule 10.1.9 states that contact caused by a defensive player approaching a ball handler from behind is pushing. Keep this definition in mind when we are going to see a lot of contact from behind that doesn't get called in one instance when there was absolutely no contact from behind and it does get called. Rule 10.1.11 states that when a ball handler has a defender trailing him, then the majority of the contact after this point will be the fault of the trailing player. Rule 10.1.12 states that when a dribbler has nothing between him and the basket, any action by a defender to illegally obstruct the path or misdirect the ball handler from that path will be a foul. There was a game-changing play at the end of the first half that clearly personifies this rule, and in fact all three of the rules are violated on that play and nothing gets called. So let's get to the very first example. The first example of a foul from behind occurs in the 8th minute of the game when North Carolina's Bryce Johnson receives an alley-oop pass and Villanova's Mikal Bridges fouls him from behind. I would like you to pay attention to one detail, and you may have to watch the clip a few times to see it. Watch the positioning of the officials and see which officials signal a foul and which ones do not.
Up high, then they fall back in a man-to-man.
Villanova fans engaged and then quieted on the dunk.
I hope you noticed what I did, and if you didn't, you probably knew I was going to explain it anyways. The pass comes from the area of the floor occupied by referee John Higgins. The pass is received in the area of the floor occupied by referee Michael Stevens. The first official to signal a foul is referee Terry Weimer. Even though he makes the right call by the rule book, this is still bad officiating because neither the pass nor the dunk was in his area of the floor. Weimer's responsibilities include UNC players number 0 and number 4, and Villanova players number 5 and number 45 because they are in his area. I know this may sound strange, but at no point in the game do you want all three officials to be watching the action involving the ball at the same time. There has to be at least one referee watching action off of the ball because that's where a lot of the illegal physical play happens, such as illegal screens and jersey pulling. Yes, Weimer gets the call right, but it wasn't his call to make. Higgins also signaled a foul. Stevens, on the other hand, seems to get startled by the play, and I can't tell if he was going to signal a foul or not. I also want to state for the record my own personal opinion outside of the rule book about this play and others like it. I'm 100% against the N1 rule. Unless a player gets manhandled or the player just makes an incredibly ridiculous attempt, very rarely will a player make a basket if they get legitimately fouled. A foul is supposed to have a negative or detrimental impact on the outcome of a play or action. That's what makes it illegal. If you make the basket, it's kind of hard to claim that the contact had a detrimental impact on the outcome of the play. Hence, there would be no foul. The play in this video fits that description. However, by the rule book, this is a foul and it was correctly called as such. That was just my 2 cents worth. Let's take a look at another foul from behind, this one occurring in the last 2 minutes of the game.
Want to manage your time. Essential. You don't want to go to a stall, but they're going to take the shot clock down, get a good shot.
Clearly this is a foul. Jackson is airborne and he contacts Hart on the way down, violating Hart's vertical plane and preventing him from elevating for a shot. The impact was also detrimental to the play as it forced Hart to miss the shot, but this doesn't matter to the rule book. Keep this foul in memory because we will look at another play at the end of this video where Hart does the exact same thing to Jackson at the end of the first half and Hart does not get called for a foul. Let's look at a third example of a foul from behind where North Carolina's Kennedy Meeks goes over the back of Villanova's Daniel Ochefu to get a rebound.
In the NBA, Rick Brunson.
Johnson again in the middle of that lane.
Another clear-cut example of foul from behind. Take note that this foul occurs 90 seconds into the second half. Also take note that it is called from the side, not the baseline, and it is called by referee John Higgins. The next clip shows the exact same thing 11 minutes later in the game, except Villanova goes over the back of Kennedy Meeks, and this time it doesn't get called.
Short, and Kennedy Meeks the big board for the Heels.
I get the ball right on the inside now. He says
Page, the lefty scoop. Meeks, no. Meeks fouled him.
This foul from behind on Villanova's field booth is clear as day, yet it doesn't get called. Sadly, John Higgins, who called a similar foul, is on the baseline, and he doesn't call it this time. As far as impact on the outcome of the game, it is slight. Chris Jenkins gets called for a shooting foul once Meeks regathers the ball from Booth's foul. Either way, Meeks would have went to the free throw line, but it should have been a shooting foul on Phil Booth instead of Chris Jenkins. And for those keeping track of foul counts, Jenkins had 4 fouls in the game. The correct call would have made 3 fouls on him, but do not worry, he gets away with another foul on a different play. Let's look at another foul from behind. On this play, Kennedy Meeks gets fouled twice, one in the act of shooting and one in the act of a reach-in from behind, and they happen within split seconds of each other. The video may cut off before the reach-in. There is a reason for it, but if you look very closely, you can probably see it.
The tough shot and a great offensive rebound by Isaiah Hicks, the junior from Oxford, North Carolina. Britt spinning in the lane, way off, batted around.
This is a still frame of the foul from behind on the shot. Clearly, Chris Jenkins is violating the vertical plane of Kennedy Meeks and contacting him in the back of the head in an attempt to block the shot. Neither John Higgins on the ball side wing nor Michael Stevens on the baseline seem interested in calling this foul. The reason I cut the video off before the reach-in from behind occurs is because I'm saving that foul for the 7th video in this series. Either way, Chris Jenkins gets away with a clear foul, and this would have been his legitimate 4th foul. Here's another foul from behind that doesn't get called. Jackson makes a dump-off pass to Hicks, and Villanova's Ochefu moves to block the shot. You can see the positioning on the floor that Ochefu, currently at the free throw line, is either going to push Hicks from behind or go over his back to block the shot. Let's take a look.
To contest it, Justin Jackson underneath, Hicks.
Ochefu is airborne and coming down on the backside of Hicks before any contact with the ball is made. This happens with 4 minutes left to play in the game, and we've already seen Justin Jackson do the same thing to Josh Hart with 2 minutes left in the game, and Jackson actually gets called for the foul. One has to wonder why the officials missed this foul, yet called the exact same thing a foul 2 minutes later in the game. One point to note, this no call actually benefits North Carolina. The benefit is minimal at best, but a benefit nonetheless. Instead of getting 2 free throws for Isaiah Hicks, North Carolina gets an uncontested dunk by Bryce Johnson. I'm sure if you asked any team in the country, would you rather, every single team would take Hicks at the free throw line before they would take Johnson uncontested 1 foot from the rim. Now the real fun begins. You're about to see one of the more bizarre calls in the game. Let's just watch the clip and I'll show you the details in 100 millisecond frames.
that last possession, I don't blame. I feel like Meeks being a little frustrated.
Meeks surrounded, off the mark. Pinson came.
Take note of Justin Jackson on the far side of the rim, which happens to be the same side the official is on. Also take note of Archie Diagono on the near side of the rim and Theo Pinson directly to the right of him. Notice how Villanova's Mikal Bridges is starting to clear Jackson out of his position. Jackson's starting position was just inside the 4-foot restricted arc under the basket, so let's estimate 3 foot from the rim. By the end of the play, Jackson will land just inside the baseline, which is also 4 foot from the backboard. By the end of the play, Jackson is dislocated 6 feet from his starting position, all of which happens directly in front of Michael Stevens, and nothing gets called. Also take notice of how Theo Pinson and Archie Diagono have yet to make contact with one another, and in the next 3 still frames they never do. Theo Pinson is airborne and has his left hand on the ball trying to tip it towards the rim. He's yet to even make contact with a Villanova player. Archie Diagono is trying to get 2 hands on the ball for the rebound, and he's yet to even do that. Pinson actually touches the ball before Archie Diagono does, and all through the process, Pinson is yet to contact Archie Diagono, yet Pinson still gets called for the foul. All throughout this time, Jackson has been dislocated 6 feet from his original position right in front of the referee, Michael Stevens, yet Stevens calls the foul on Theo Pinson. To make matters worse, Terry Weimer, at the top of the right corner of the court, also signals a foul on this play, but he never indicates who the foul is on. When you look at his position in this frame, how on earth does Weimer see a foul from his spot on the court with 7 players in the paint blocking his view? There's just no way he can possibly see a foul from that spot, much less being able to see the correct foul. Michael Stevens was right on top of the play, and he didn't even get the call right. Ironically, the official with the best view of Pinson Archie Diagono is John Higgins, and he doesn't signal anything at all. This bad call results in the 7th team foul on UNC and puts Archie Diagono at the free throw line where he makes both attempts. Instead, this would have been the 9th team foul on Villanova and would have put Jackson on the free throw line for a 1-and-1 attempt. Now let's look at the play that I foreshadowed at the beginning of the video. This play happens in the final 13 seconds of the first half, and the foul committed by Josh Hart fits all three definitions in Rule 10 Section 1, and it is eerily similar to a lot of fouls called against North Carolina in the game. So one has to wonder why this foul didn't get called.
Earlier, Phil Booth stripped in the lane. Plenty of time.
As we can see, contact is caused by a player approaching a ball handler from behind, so this fits Rule 10-1-9. We can also see that Jackson is sufficiently past the head and torso of the defender, so this fits Rule 10-1-11. Finally, we can see that Jackson has a straight line, unobstructed path to the basket, which fits Rule 10-1-12. Let's look at the slow motion replay of this play. In this still frame, this is where the play initiates, right on the 4-foot restricted arc. You can already see contact being initiated. Here is a clear frame of the contact from behind being made by Josh Hart. Here there is still some slight contact being made, but at no point through these frames has Jackson elevated above the height of Hart. That is because Hart's illegal contact kept Jackson from elevating to attempt a layup, or as the rule defines it, preventing a player from making a normal basketball play. At the very least, 10-1-9 should have been enforced because this is an obvious pushing foul from behind. Jackson would have went to the free throw line for 2 shots with 10 seconds remaining in the first half. Instead, John Higgins blows the call, allowing Villanova to get a transition play in 10 seconds, in which they get a 2-point jumper against a scrambling defense. If this foul had been called, North Carolina would have received 2 free throw attempts as well as a chance to set their defense for the last 10 seconds of the game. This is our score sheet for the referee-adjusted box score, which I will be doing in the 10th video of this 11-video series. Instead of adding an extra 2 to 3 minutes to this video going line by line of this score sheet, you can take this opportunity to pause the video and read the details. Most likely I will be going line by line for each one of these in the 10th video, so no reason to steal twice the time from you. I will point out that I intentionally left the final possession of the first half unknown for a reason. I'm pretty sure in the next 3 videos there is one more missed call that will affect the calculation of this value. So instead of doing that now and then having to redo it in the 10th video, it is much easier just to do it once at the end. If you want to know how this will be done, I will simply count the referee adjusted point total for the first half and divide it by the referee adjusted possession count to get a points per possession value. That will be the value I will use. If you use the official box score, you should see 34 first half points divided by 29.9 first half possessions, which equals 1.13 points per possession. Again, that value will be slightly different when we adjust the box score for the impact of the referees on the game, but that is how it will be calculated. I'd like to thank you for watching my video, and I hope you will tune in for my 6th video on Rule 10 Section 1 Article 1, which defines illegal contact in general.